You've done the work, you've hit the goals, you've ticked all the boxes that were supposed to make you feel like you're enough, and yet you still don't. Maybe you temporarily felt good about yourself when you achieved your big goal, but that was fleeting. And now you are back to feeling like you are one more achievement away to feeling good about yourself. So you keep going, you set another goal, you work harder, you achieve more. And then something goes wrong. You fail at something or you fall short. And it doesn't just sting. It feels like proof that the fear that you've had all along is true. You aren't enough, and all of those other achievements were just covering it up, and now everyone will see it. If that's familiar, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm a GP and I'm a certified attachment coach. Today we're going to talk about why achieving more will never actually fix that feeling, where it comes from, and by the end of this, you're going to have a completely different way at looking at your worth. One that doesn't depend on what you achieve or what you have to offer. And I know this because I've experienced it. For most of my life, I viewed worth as something to be earned, especially through academic achievements or how useful I was to others. Being good, being helpful, not causing problems. And for a long time, I didn't realize that that's what was happening. It just felt natural, normal. It was only later when I started to do inner work that I started to realize what was happening. And slowly, very slowly, start to find something underneath the achievements to stand on. I'm still working on it, but what's changed is that I no longer need the outside proof as much because I'm learning to access that worth from the inside. So where does this all come from? From a very early age, we are taught, not always in words, but from the way the world responds to us, that our value is conditional. At school, the kids with the best grades get the most praise. The ones who are well-behaved, helpful, obedient, they get approval. And the ones who struggle, who don't fit the mold, who act out, they get the message very quickly that something about them is not quite right. And it doesn't stop at school. Society reinforces it constantly. What do you do? How much do you earn? What have you achieved? Social media turns it into a performance. Everyone's highlights, everyone's wins, everyone's best version on display. And if your highlights don't measure up, the conclusion feels obvious. You don't either. So we learn to perform, to earn it, to prove it over and over again. And I want to say that this isn't about blame. Most people that taught us this didn't know any different themselves. They were doing the best they could with what they had. This is a pattern that gets passed down not out of malice, but out of lack of awareness. Because most people were never taught how to access worth through the inside either. Now, one of the things that makes this so hard to untangle is that we've spent so long listening to the outside world for confirmation of our worth that we have lost touch with our inner voice. We don't know how to tell the difference between the fear that is programmed into us and a part of us that actually knows what is true. And that is why I made a free guide that will help you start separating the part of you that is trying to protect you from the part of you that actually knows what you need right now, so that you can start making decisions that are aligned with your true self. The link is below. So why doesn't achieving more fix the feeling? Well, one of the reasons is because the goalpost keeps moving. You tell yourself, well, once I get this qualification, I will feel enough. Once I get this job, this relationship, this body. And for a moment, maybe it feels good, but then the feeling fades and suddenly the next goal is already forming because the one you just reached doesn't feel like enough anymore. And that is not a coincidence. That happens when we use achievements to feel something that they were never meant to fill. Achievements can show you what you are capable of, they can open doors for you, they can be meaningful, but they cannot tell you that you are worthy because that was never their job. And when worth is tied to achievement, then failure becomes unbearable. Not just disappointing, but unbearable. Because falling short doesn't just mean you didn't hit the goal. It means that the fear was right all along. It becomes evidence, proof. And there is actually a biological reason why one failure can feel like it erases everything that came before it. It's called negativity bias. Your brain is literally wired to prioritize the one thing that went wrong over the 100 things that went right. And this isn't a flaw, it's just an evolutionary leftover. Thousands of years ago, ignoring a beautiful sunset cost you nothing, but ignoring a rustle in the grass could cost you your life. So our ancestors became hyper alert to the threat, to the mistake, to the danger. And we are descendants of the people who survived because of that alertness. So when you fail at something and it feels like erases everything else, You are not being dramatic. That is your brain doing exactly what it was wired to do. The problem is it was built for a different world. And so you start to avoid things where failure is possible. You stop taking risks, you stop trying stuff where you might not be good at, because the cost of getting it wrong isn't just failure, it's your entire sense of self. So if worth can't be earned through achievements, then where do you even find it? I'll be honest, I can't give you a neat definition of what worth is. But what I can tell you is what it feels like when I access it. It's when I'm present with myself, not thinking about the next goal or replaying the last conversation, or thinking about what someone else might have thought about me. I am just present with my body, with my breath, with my surroundings. It's when I'm present with my senses, and in that stillness, that's when I start to feel that quiet sense of peace, of being whole, of being enough. I'm not doing anything in those moments. I am not achieving anything. I am not being useful to anyone. I'm just there with myself. And that's when I feel it most clearly. I don't think worth is something that you build or you earn. I think it's always been there. I think it's something that's already there underneath everything. And presence is just how you get quiet enough to feel it. So next time you fall short of something, you fail at something, or you look around and everybody else seems to have it more together than you do, just try to remember this. Your worth was never something that you had to earn. It was always there. You just weren't taught to trust it without outside proof. And if you look back at your life and you realize that you settled somewhere in a relationship, in your job, in a friendship, there's no shame in that. It doesn't mean that you were weak. It doesn't mean that you weren't enough. You were doing the best you could with what you had. Most of us were never taught to trust our inner wisdom without outside validation. And that is not a personal failing. It's just what happens when the world outside of us doesn't model another way. And on that note, if you've ever had a difficult conversation and then spent the rest of your day snapping at the people that you love and not understanding why you keep reacting that way, watch this next video, because it's going to show you exactly what is happening underneath that reaction and what you can actually do about it.